Alright, what's up guys, Bass Radio here. I wanted to do a quick video on this Radtel RT-950 handheld because I've seen a lot of positive videos about it and I've seen a couple negative ones that I just thought were kind of schizo. So if these schizo opinions are kind of getting out into the atmosphere, I felt like I had to counter it somehow. So it's been a while since I've been on, been doing a lot of stuff. I should be painting my garage right now. I've stacked everything behind me so I can paint the wall that you guys can't see. So once I do, then maybe I'll put a studio in the loft. I'm kind of excited about that. So maybe you'll be seeing more of me, hopefully that's the case. But yeah, the Radtel RT-950 Pro. What do I think of it? Well, if you don't want to continue watching, I'll just say that I think it's a great radio. It's like kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. It's not like, you know, gonna get on the Sherwood report for best receiver or something like that. But it certainly does a lot for the money, which I got this for like 96 bucks on eBay, straight from China. I know some people will have a problem with that, but I don't care. The ends justify the means type of thing. So, why do I like this radio? So, one of the things I had a problem with in one of the schizo rants was that, you know, why not have a dedicated piece of hardware for a specific purpose? CB being the example that was cited. So although this can do CB and it can receive on CB and transmit on FM only, that's kind of a limited capability of this radio as far as CB goes. However, if you're going down the highway and you have this radio with you and you want to just listen to the truckers and see if maybe, hey, is there a roadblock ahead? Hey, is there a police setting up a speed trap? You can monitor and have that kind of situational awareness with this radio. Along with that, you can watch 3 bands at a time. It receives on HF and shortwave on SSB, upper sideband, lower sideband. I can decode FT8 with it. I can do crossband repeat. It does APRS very, very well. It does Bluetooth. It does program over Bluetooth, although there's a couple bugs with that. And maybe soon they're gonna have the KISS TNC be available over the Bluetooth. So you would be able to run APRS Droid. Although they don't have that functionality yet, since I got it, there's already been a firmware update that did quite a few more things. So let's just really quick talk about some of the things that it could do. Well, for one, it's just a UHF VHF radio, which is great. I mean, it does that function on its own, and there's plenty of UHF VHF radios that can do the job for less money, namely something like this Baofeng, right? But if you bought one of these as opposed to 3 Baofengs like that, this does everything that Baofeng does and then a lot more on top of that. Like, for example, one of the big things I liked about this Baofeng is it will like do a frequency steal where you can have it listen on UHF or VHF and it will hear the frequency that it's picked up and then also give you the CTCSS or DCS tone that it hears. So if you're looking for repeaters, it's a quick way to link up with that frequency. Or if your friends are, you know, going on a hike and right before you guys walk off, you can just sync up your frequencies and then everyone's on the same page, which is a really cool feature. Again, this radio will do that as well. Another thing that's cool about this, I don't know if you saw that, I set it up as a crossband repeater right here, so you can have one radio on UHF and one radio on VHF, and when you key this up, it'll talk across to the other radio, and you can see it's crossband repeating, so this is actually acting as a repeater. Pretty cool little feature. You can leave this at your car. You and your buddy take a radio into the woods and you got kind of extended coverage, right? Again, just natively on the radio, that's a great thing to have. Another thing I kind of like is you can pull up this kind of spectrum scope, and there's not a lot going on this spectrum here that I have. Let me see if I can find something better, maybe 00707. See what's going on 40 meters. It gives you a spectrum scope. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Obviously, if you zoom out, it kind of increases the latency, but I mean, just so cool that it's right there on the radio that it's something you could do just for situational awareness. Again, the front end is kind of weak, it gets overloaded, I get it, but also for the money, it's kind of, you'd have to bust out your SDR or something like that, or a little shortwave like this, and even a little shortwave like this is kind of clunky to use and doesn't have a spectrum scope at the moment, unless there's a firmware update that I don't know about. So it's really cool that it does that just right off the cusp. And again, I can kind of bring this up into shortwave listening mode. Give it a second. And we're listening on, let's go to, it's kind of late. So let's go to 40 meters. Now I'm using a UHF VHF antenna, but I don't know if you can hear it. It is actually hearing FT8 coming in. I gotta watch me touch the button. So I don't know if you guys can see here, I'm running a program on here called FT8CN. And this program will decode and transmit FT8 if you have it hooked up to a radio that will do so. But just playing the audio into the microphone of this, you know, little Lenovo $80 pad that I got, it will decode and show me where the stations are coming from. Are we getting anything? There you go. So it's picking up these stations through all the noise, all the static, through a little UHF antenna. So if you're walking along the beach, just want to see who's doing FT8, you can just fire it up and go. I'll let the last time slot go and then we'll kind of shut it off. This is cool to pull up the spectrum on this. And it actually shows you which stations are coming in right there on the waterfall. FT8CN is a really cool thing, and they're talking about maybe getting it to decode GS8 as well. So I'm excited about this app. If you don't have this app, you gotta get on that. But yeah, I mean, in order for me to do something like that, I would have to bust out all this equipment, maybe even a computer to try to decode something like that. Another thing that it does right natively off the thing is APRS. So I kind of set up these quick buttons to turn my APRS on and off. I'm gonna turn it on. Oh, I gotta shut off for the repeat mode first. And the menu system is super easy to use. Like, I've had no issues just kind of navigating the menu. Real quick, I'll just shut off my crossband repeat. I know it's down here somewhere. Crossband repeat, okay. Off, okay. Back out of that. And I'll go back to my quick access button, which is APRS, put that on, okay. And then if I go back to VM mode, I think I have APRS program on there. So yeah, it'll decode APRS packets. It's already got a GPS lock, even though I'm inside the garage. That's another thing too, I'm inside my garage and I'm receiving FT8 on 40 meters through this, you know, stucco wire Faraday cage that I'm in. Pretty impressive. And again, for $96, does it do any of these functions great? No, not really. But is it cool to have just in a pinch if all you had on you was this? You have so many capabilities and so many things you could kind of listen in on. It doesn't even make sense not to have one. I mean, how can you complain? Especially if all you really wanted in the first place was UHF VHF radio. So yeah, in conclusion, just a quick video. I just want to say, yeah, even though it's not the greatest at everything it does a lot of things for a very little amount of money. And with the firmware updates coming down the pipe, especially with Radtel's they've already have a reputation for, like, you know, pumping out firmwares and making features better. You just really can't lose with it. And I kind of thought it was weird that someone had a big problem with, especially someone who got this for free, where I had to pay for this, you know. So yeah. Yeah, like, share, and subscribe and all that stuff, and I'll talk to you guys later.